So we're here in the San Juan Islands. Nick is actually getting married in less than a week, so I guess this is kind of like his bachelor party slash stag do, whatever you want to call it. No beers drank, no alcohol consumed. Pretty much the wildest thing that's happened is just trying to navigate all of the crazy tides and reefs and rocks that happen around here.
This is not good. That's full speed. We just lost it. We're getting stuck towards the rocks. I have no steering.
Yeah, the San Juan Islands are like amazingly beautiful. I think the level of wildlife is just like anything, it's nothing like I've seen before.
That might be the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Unreal.
Whoa. Unreal.
What happened?
I don't know. The throttle's not changing, but the engine is dying. This is not good. That's full speed. We just lost it. Yeah. It's gonna get really rough. We're in the eddies now. The big rough eddies. We're getting stuck towards the rocks. I have no steering. It's really bad.
I haven't been that afraid in a while. I mean, you were like, everything's fine. But I'm out here in a whirlpool with like 2-3 foot waves. The boat's getting spun in circles and there's rocks and cold water all around us. So.
Welcome back to the Pacific Northwest and the wild San Juan Islands. In the last video we sailed up here from Seattle on board Nick's Do 431. This entire region is defined by stunning scenery, incredible marine wildlife and notoriously fickle conditions. Light winds paired also with massive tidal currents that tear through narrow channels, creating violent tidal races and standing waves. And those standing waves did a great job of churning up years of settled muck from the bottom of the diesel tank, instantly choking the fuel filter and starving the engine. With no engine in the middle of a roaring tidal race, we were completely reliant on the sails, but fortunately the boat moves beautifully in light air, and once the current spat us out, we managed to ghost into an anchorage just in time to drop the hook, swap the filters and get her running again. What's this boat that we're on?
It's a Do 431, so they're French built. The reason I bought it is because the older French built boats have really thick fiberglass hulls, and there's a lot of stuff drifting around in the PNW, trees and logs, and I just wanted to be able to sleep at night knowing that the boat was going to be fine if we nicked a big tree in the water or something. And she actually sails incredibly well in light wind, which has been really nice because we haven't had much wind while we've been out here. I don't know, we've just been having a great time. Yeah, we're about to pick up the anchor again because the tides are going out. We're getting quite close to the rocks behind us, so trying to get out of here before we run aground.
Seems like it's just always light winds around here. We were lucky because we had 10 knots of breeze for a few hours this afternoon, so we got a bit of sailing in but kind of dropped off already, and it makes it difficult because there's always like 2 knots of tide, so as soon as the wind drops off you're just at the mercy of the tides. What do you think?
Not much wind.
No. We have arrived in Stewart Island, which shares the name with Stewart Island, New Zealand. This one's a little bit different, lots of pine trees, and yeah, it looks very beautiful. It's also the crabbing season here, so we also bought a crab pot, which we're just going to throw off the back of the boat now. You got there?
A little bit of Frisky's pate, whitefish tuna, and we got this chicken that we're gonna chuck in there too.
We're gonna come up full of crab.
Oh!
Oh, you definitely got a few keepers in there.
A couple of monsters in there.
Doing a bit of species identification.
There we go.
Oh shit.
Oh, that looks like a Dungeness crab.
Yeah.
White tipped claws.
For sure.
It's a brownish shell. Definitely brown.
Yeah, for sure.
And then males.
That is a Dungeness crab.
Yeah, we can keep him. For sure.
Sick.
What are you
going on?
Making some garlic bread. Lots of Parmesan cheese. Garlic, butter, sourdough, and soon crab.
Fuck
It's
yeah.
gonna be a good day.
Haven't had this crab before, but apparently it's a super Pacific Northwest, Washington experience.
How is it?
That's good actually. Yeah, that's good crab.
It's a lot of effort.
We're
I've got
ready.
a good technique. I just stick these pliers in here, grab it, crack it up, and you can just open it up. And then look at that. Yeah, it's good stuff.
It's been 5 years now since I woke up with a hangover that was so bad I decided to quit drinking for good. Nick doesn't drink either, so to celebrate his upcoming wedding, instead of the usual big night out on the town, we decided to head out here. It's remarkably close to Seattle, yet it feels completely pristine and untouched. And for anyone out there who might need to hear it, quitting was easily one of the best decisions I've ever made. The sailing world has a massive drinking culture, and breaking away from that isn't easy. But looking back, if I was still drinking, there's no way I could balance full-time sailing, running this channel, working as a professional skipper, and actually staying healthy, and I know that Nick feels exactly the same way.
That was 5. Come on, you got another one. You got it.
Yeah. Oh, go on. So I have a new sponsor, which is cool. Inside this bag, we have a very innovative new drone. So you're familiar with the Insta360 camera. It's basically a camera that films 360 degrees all the time. Insta360 have partnered with a few other companies and they've made this 360 degree drone. You can see it's got these two super wide angle lenses, top and bottom, and it basically allows you to get these really cool wide angle unique perspectives. So when the camera's rolling, it's filming everything all around the drone all at once, if that makes sense. So you basically just fly the drone, hit record, and then do all the framing in post or afterwards. And then to fly it, it's not like a standard controller, it's flown like an FPV drone. So you wear these goggles and control it using this controller, and it basically gives you a super immersive experience. So you're seeing what the drone sees and flying it like it's basically as close as you can get to flying. Yeah, it's a really cool piece of kit. It took me a while to figure out the best way to use it because it is still capable of like flying, you know, a couple of 100 meters up into the air and getting those landscape shots, especially with the super wide angle lens. It's like a really cool perspective, but it's small enough, and because it's flown like an FPV, you can actually fly it in real close proximity to, you know, like trees and stuff, and we've managed to get some real unique shots just like flying through the forest and flying underneath trees. This is like a really cool sponsor and I've had a lot of fun testing it out. I have a discount code which I'll put in the description, which is actually a pretty good discount. And yeah, if you're looking for like a super immersive experience of flying, it is also super intuitive to fly. So you can hand the headset and the controller to anyone, someone who's never flown a drone before, give them a quick instruction, a brief in what they need to do, and they'll be fine flying it around. We're gonna have a lot of fun taking this around on the trip, and yeah, I think it's gonna allow us to get some really cool perspectives. Alright, so this morning I'm really going to push myself and try and swim around the boat. The water's so cold. Nick's going to do it as well. It's going to be the hardest thing that we do all day. You ready for this?
So cold, man.
it's like, you know, in an ice bath. I'm just gonna rinse off with fresh water. When you can like feel your bones, like your bones feel cold. I don't know how to describe it. It's cold, especially when you've lived your life in the tropics for like years. All right, your turn.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
It hurts your skin. I felt like my chest was burning. Jumped in super cold, swam a bit, even colder. Then I got warm for like a few seconds.
Yeah.
And then this intense pain ran through my body. And I was straight back to trying to get back to the ladder as quickly as possible.
Alright, so we left Stewart Island this morning and we're sailing to another island. This one's called Sucia Island, and yeah, that is literally Canada behind me. Vancouver Island. But yeah, it's like a 12-mile sail and we actually have some wind today, which is great.
Just feeling really happy, and it's been cold, but the sun is out this morning, so it just feels really nice. It feels good to be sailing. We've been doing a lot of motoring this trip, so life is good. This boat sails super well in light wind, which is super nice because, I don't know, it rarely goes above 10 knots it seems. The tide is against us, so it seems like we're going really fast through the water, but in reality we're only doing 2 knots of progress. So there's this island just off the bow that we need to round to go to Sucia Island, but it just seems like we're not making any progress even though we're actually sailing at a pretty good speed. But it's just kind of funny. You really have to time the tides and currents here. Max has just gone ashore to get a cool drone shot with the new A1, and he's left me alone to single-hand the boat, as you can see, and we are wing on wing, making our way down. How cool is that? Woo!
A very important piece of maintenance on the outboard engine. We're gonna clean the carburetor because the outboard keeps on cutting out. Step 1. I just take that.
Got it.
Okay, so the carburetor on a 2-stroke engine, the fuel passes through it before it goes into the cylinder. Its function is to mix the air and the fuel to the correct ratio so it will combust properly inside the engine. But there's no filter on this engine, so all of the like particles and stuff in the fuel ultimately end up in the carburetor, and if you don't clean it out regularly then it affects how the engine runs. The engine starts to cut out, it's hard to get it started, which is exactly what's been happening to us. Carburetor, the throttle controls the amount of fuel and air going into the cylinder, and then this is the choke which starves the cylinder of air so that more fuel comes in. So that's with the choke on, so it's letting less air, so like the air to fuel ratio is like more. Anyway, we're gonna take this bit off. This is like the float chamber, which is for sure gonna be clogged full of shit. So, yeah, look at all that shit. That's not what you want to see. This kind of looks like your diesel tanks. So the float chamber is clean, but the important thing that you actually want to clean is this jet here. This is probably what's blocked. So anyway, you need to clean this jet out, it's really important. But to get it out, you have to use, can I use your little flathead? It should just come out like that. Alright, for sure that's clean. Carbs clean.
First bolt, baby.
And that is a wrap on the San Juan Islands. With only a few days to go before Nick's big day, it's time to close the loop on this trip and point the bow back towards Seattle with a few fresh crabs for the road, of course. And if you want to learn how to swap out a diesel filter, to clean a carburetor and master all of the practical skills you need to confidently own and cruise a sailboat, check out the Untied Sailing Club. It has in-depth content, courses, resources, opportunities, and everything you need to get out on the water. Also, if you're in the market for an incredible new drone, you can use the link in the description for a 25% discount on the Anti-Gravity A1. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment below wishing Nick the absolute best for his upcoming wedding. Thanks as always for watching, and I will see you